Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds have a pattern of taking over films, so It Ends With Us was not the first, as you might have believed.
Blake Lively was no victim here. She was in control, she was in power, and she took over this film.
Director Tim Miller and star Ryan Reynolds failed to see eye to eye, resulting in Miller departing the project.
Are Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds guilty of muscling their way into other people's projects? If rumors are to be believed, It Ends With Us wasn't the first time. Sure, the drama with Justin Baldoni is coming with dueling suits and endless gossip.
It is Hollywood drama at its peak. The lawsuit is packed with explosive allegations of defamation.
But insider chatter suggests this pattern may have been brewing for quite a while. Allegedly, Blake was just supposed to star in the adaptation of Colleen Hoover's bestseller, until she took on a more hands-on role.
So you just broke into my building?
You have a really nice view.
I do.
Eventually steering the final edits away from Justin's original vision. According to insiders, Justin's cut supposedly tested better, but once Blake hinted she might skip promotions if she didn't get her way, the production caved. Now, fans are rethinking the entire premise. Was it always going to be Blake's show? What really raised eyebrows is that Ryan's name popped up in Justin's complaint, fueling claims that this was more than a creative disagreement. Some people say Ryan used his Hollywood clout to tip the balance in favor of his wife's preferences. Does that mean the pair routinely swoop in on sets to call the shots? They're known for their star power, charm, and brand-savvy moves, so maybe it's not too wild if they're also skilled at finessing behind-the-scenes deals. Still, people wonder if the couple's input truly elevates these projects, or if it just sidelines the original creators. You can't talk about these takeover allegations without mentioning Ryan's big superhero franchise. According to Deadpool director Tim Miller, things turned sour when Ryan pushed for greater control in the film's sequel. Miller ended up walking away, claiming Ryan wanted to be the lead decision-maker. He explained that Ryan's top billing gave him leverage, so any creative debate was near impossible to win. Fans obviously love the wisecracking hero, but behind the scenes, it seems not everyone was thrilled with how Ryan handled input. Some even argue he relies heavily on comedic charm rather than raw acting chops. But hey, if that comedic charm is winning box office gold, is it such a crime? Still, the parallels between Ryan's alleged heavy-handedness on Deadpool and Blake's rumored meddling in It Ends With Us are too juicy to ignore. In both instances, you have them stepping beyond just starring roles, shaping the film's tone, storyline, and final edits. And sure, these moves may have turned the projects into hits, but critics question if they've overshadowed or pushed out the people who first nurtured the vision. Tim Miller stepping down is eerily reminiscent of Justin Baldoni feeling locked out of his own film's final cut. Maybe it's just a coincidence. Or maybe this power couple knows exactly how to push for creative control. Will the talk of them taking over films cling to Blake and Ryan's reputations? People everywhere are already dragging out older interviews of Blake's co-stars from her Gossip Girl days, trying to see if there's a pattern of her overshadowing showrunners. Meanwhile, Ryan's comedic personality might have overshadowed friction on other sets. The couple's fans, though, argue that being deeply involved in your projects is hardly a crime. Plenty of A-list stars do the same. But the problem might be the sense that they muscle out everyone else's vision, using star power as a trump card.
Blake Lively's horrendous behavior on set gets exposed by her former co-star, and apparently she's super entitled behind the scenes.
A TikTok chef who used to be a former actress is saying she was very condescending, would fart on set, and allegedly burp.
Blake Lively is getting the backlash of her life as many past and hidden secrets are exposed.
It seems the It Ends With Us fiasco isn't the only Blake Lively drama dominating Hollywood right now. While fans debate her legal showdown with co-star Justin Baldoni, fresh allegations about her on-set conduct have surfaced.
I'm a sociopath.
And then time stops.
Yeah.
But like, that's just how it's been for us.
Rosella Rego, an actress turned YouTuber who hosts the Italian cooking show Cooking with Nona, claimed she had first-hand experience with Blake's horrendous attitude during her time as an extra on Gossip Girl. Rego, who says she's worked on the teen drama across all 6 seasons, shared quite a few eyebrow-raising anecdotes, including stories about burping, flatulence, and a sense that Blake rarely gave the time of day to those beneath her.
There was a lot of expansion and contraction. They can't contain you anymore.
If that's true, it adds another layer to the complicated picture fans are assembling of Blake, who's already facing harsh scrutiny thanks to her tiff with Justin. Rego didn't mince words. She said Blake was very unpleasant to work with, pointing to incidents like Blake burping and farting in the middle of set, acting like we were lucky to be smelling her farts. Rosella's commentary came in a TikTok video that quickly grabbed attention online. She also took a jab at Blake's rumored sense of entitlement, crediting it partly to her Nepo baby status. Blake's father, Ernie Lively, was an actor, and her older siblings also dabbled in entertainment. Rego suggested that fame from Gossip Girl went to Blake's head, especially since she was only 19 when the world started blowing her up. Another intriguing claim is that Blake's attitude soared to new heights after her romance with Leonardo DiCaprio ended. Rego recalled how Blake returned to the Gossip Girl set in a foul mood, carrying a pus on her face and essentially ignoring the extras. Then Ryan Reynolds appeared and everything changed. He started coming around, bowing down at her feet. According to her, the dynamic further fed Blake's ego. All of that fawning might help explain why, if a co-star like Justin came close to overshadowing her, she'd be quick to shut them down. These revelations pop up at an already fraught moment for Blake. She's embroiled in a feud with It Ends With Us director and co-star Justin Baldoni, who's counter-suing her for a whopping $400 million. The suit involves around allegations that Blake twisted the narrative to paint Justin as a weirdo on set, accusing him of tons of stuff that made her deeply uncomfortable. Justin denies it, claiming she's the real villain, hijacking his directional project, and icing him out of promotional events. Adding spice to the pot is a behind-the-scenes clip Friedman, Justin's attorney, released showing a dance scene between the two leads. Blake's side calls it further evidence of his boundary pushing, alleging you can see him leaning in uncomfortably close and ignoring her repeated suggestions that they just talk instead of getting too physical. Justin's team, however, says the footage demonstrates a consensual, playful moment that is being distorted for headlines. The lines are drawn and neither side is backing down. Meanwhile, Blake's lawyers are trying to muzzle Justin's camp with a gag order, calling Friedman's media approach an unethical campaign, to which Friedman responded that Blake is simply petrified of the truth. Now, with Rego stepping up to say actually Blake's behavior didn't just flip a switch in 2024, she's been like this for years, fans are putting the puzzle pieces together. If what Rego says is accurate, maybe Blake's notoriously sweet public persona hides some real behind-the-scenes rudeness. Rosella even says that when Blake tried to be nice to the extras, it came off stage and forced a polite thank you that was so over the top it felt disingenuous. Rego characterized it as Blake reluctantly doing the bare minimum to appear friendly, but losing interest if you were just a normal person. She claims that was especially apparent when Blake was in a bad mood, like when her fling with Leo fizzled out. Rosella also touched on the swirling rumors that Blake might have had a flirtation with Justin and turned the tables when it somehow went south. She described Blake as someone who throws people under the bus if they don't cater to her every whim. From her vantage point, it's easy to see how Blake might have let the power dynamics from Gossip Girl carry into It Ends With Us. If the gossip's true, once she realized Justin wasn't putting her on the usual pedestal, she might have escalated their conflicts. It's not the first time such theories have popped up. Some fans on social media already suspected that Blake might have caught feelings for Justin that were unreciprocated, or that Ryan found out about something and forced her to spin the narrative. The speculation is endless, but Rego's comments bolster the storyline of Blake as someone who can't handle not being worshipped. Curiously, none of this seems to match the carefully curated brand Blake promotes on social media, where she's the witty mom joking around with Ryan, rocking stylish outfits, and leaning into that relatable star next door vibe. The idea that she might openly burp or pass gas around underlings, acting like they should feel honored to smell her fumes, is hardly the type of comedic anecdote fans would expect. Yet for Rosella, it's a big reason she labels Blake horrendous behind the scenes. Of course, we should note that Rego is just one voice. Others on the Gossip Girl set have previously praised Blake's warmth, though few are as specific as Rosella in describing day-to-day interactions. Gossip fans might remember small controversies about Blake not always being super chatty with extras or holding herself a bit aloof. That, however, might be typical of big star stuff. Some leads are more approachable than others. Still, Rego insists Blake's behavior went beyond normal standoffish. Meanwhile, the stitch with Justin Justin Baldoni is overshadowing everything else. The film adaptation of Colleen Hoover's best-selling novel was a huge box office draw in August, but the stars behind the scenes feud quickly became the bigger story. Even though fans loved it, the promotional tour was tense, with Blake and Justin apparently avoiding each other. Now we knew from official court documents that the tension was more than mild annoyance. Blake says Justin allegedly showed her strange images, boasted about his parts, improvised some actions without consent. Justin's side laughs that off, claiming it's total invention. Friedman says Blake's false allegations were part of a carefully orchestrated hit piece in the New York Times. Friedman also blasts Blake for forcing the whole thing onto front pages, only to cry foul when Justin tried to defend himself. Rago isn't the only person in recent days to slam the Blake-Ryan duo. Another old story popped up about Ryan Reynolds allegedly being horrifically mean to TJ Miller on the Deadpool 2 set, apparently fueled by insecurity. TJ talked about it in 2022, but the anecdote just resurfaced thanks to the swirling negativity around Blake's discussion with Justin. So now fans are wondering if Ryan also has a dark side, or if TJ was exaggerating. The synergy is tough to ignore. Ryan's name is in Justin's countersuit, which claims he used his Hollywood clout to sabotage the film's premiere for Justin. All of this begs the question, how many co-stars or behind-the-scenes staff have felt overshadowed or belittled by Blake or Ryan? Could Blake's discussion with Justin be part of the pattern in which she demands total adoration? If you don't provide it, she's quick to brand you as a creep or villain. Rago certainly sees it that way, claiming Blake's real problem with Justin is that he didn't treat her as the unstoppable, worshipped star she's come to believe she is. The ex-Gossip Girl extra was blunt when she said she thinks she can do whatever she wants, and if it backfires, she blames someone else. Maybe the gas, burping, or ignoring extras from decades ago has nothing to do with the new accusations. On the other hand, multiple alleged behind-the-scenes stories can paint a pattern for better or for worse. The entire fiasco is reminiscent of how fans once revered Amber Heard or Johnny Depp, only to see skeletons tumble out in court that drastically changed public perception. For now, fans are left to sort through more accounts like Rago's. Some see it as a petty vendetta from a bit player, but others treat it as a puzzle piece in a bigger mosaic that's not flattering for Blake. Behind the scenes, attorneys for both sides are ramping up. Friedman claims he's developed a website dedicated to presenting unedited footage and text messages. Blake's team calls that more of a manufactured media stunt, but Friedman insists it's the only way to correct the record. We're basically watching a PR showdown as both parties scramble to out-leak the other, each declaring the raw truth is on their side. Regardless of the outcome, Rago's depiction of Blake on Gossip Girl is an unwelcome addition for Team Blake. People are piling on, remembering rumors that she was standoff or moody on set. The mention of her occasionally being kind, yet only in the over-the-top, possibly sarcastic way, is the kind of detail that lingers in public memory.
Ryan Reynolds' mean behavior gets exposed, and it looks like he's worse than Blake Lively. New stories are surfacing, reminding fans that Ryan isn't exactly the endlessly charming hero he plays on screen. Comedian TJ Miller's old claims about Ryan being mean have gone viral again at the worst possible time, just as Ryan and his wife Blake Lively face a giant countersuit from Justin Baldoni. In 2022, TJ opened up on The Adam Carolla Show, recalling tension he felt while playing Weasel in Ryan blockbuster Deadpool series. Miller claimed Ryan was mean to him in character, but it carried into real life. He recalled a specific day on set for Deadpool 2 where Ryan's ad-libs crossed a line.
And then as the character, he was like horrifically mean to me.
He was like, "You know what's great about you, Weasel? You're here just enough to set up the real stars, and then we can get back to the movie," TJ recounted, adding that he didn't know if Ryan was joking or venting real frustration.
He did that, and it was weird.
TJ suggested Ryan might be insecure now that he's more famous. He also insisted he wouldn't work with him again.
Would I work with him again? No.
Though he didn't hold a personal grudge, saying, "He's so good at Deadpool. I wish him well." Ryan never publicly addressed these accusations, and TJ later claimed on another show that they'd patched things up. But with TJ's interview blowing up again, the timing is brutal. Blake is engaged in a bitter back and forth with Justin Baldoni, accusing him of a whole load of things. Justin denies it all and, in a surprise move, sued Blake, Ryan, and her publicist, Leslie Sohn, for $400 million. He claims the trio conspired to ruin his reputation, even releasing raw footage to support his side. Meanwhile, Blake's legal team says the footage proves Baldoni was crossing boundaries on set. This swirl of accusations is a constant headline grabber. And now Ryan's past mean streak is back on everyone's minds. Fans are pointing to this old story as proof that Ryan's nice guy persona could be a front. After all, TJ described him as insecure, an odd word to associate with a star who is seemingly so confident. TJ said he found it weird, especially given that Ryan's comedic skills and Deadpool's success are undeniable. Ryan's name is definitely popping up in the Baldoni Lively lawsuit. Justin claims Ryan, thanks to his massive clout, helped Blake sabotage him after the film's release. Justin insists the couple forced him to hide in a basement at the movie's premiere so Blake wouldn't have to deal with him. Blake's attorneys, however, answered back that this is another chapter in the playbook, accusing Baldoni of flipping the narrative. Both sides keep throwing accusations, and with Ryan entangled in the suit, TJ's old mention of Ryan's awful on-set behavior feels like more tinder tossed on the fire. Not helping matters is that TJ was cut from the third Deadpool. Initially, he spoke out about Ryan, then reversed course and claimed they resolved everything with a series of friendly emails. He even hinted he'd like a cameo in the next film. That had some fans dismissing his original story. Maybe TJ just wanted more attention? A lot of people were confused, but with so much negativity swirling around Ryan already, people are piling on, calling it more evidence of his rumored weirdo behavior. Whether or not TJ was exaggerating or misreading jokes, fans can't help comparing Ryan's alleged mean streak to Blake's battles with Justin. If both husband and wife are known to lash out at co-workers, maybe they're not quite the squeaky clean power couple they seemed. With everything piling up at once, that perfect family man brand might be harder to preserve.
Blake Lively is scared of the truth coming out, and it's looking like she might be the guilty one from the public's eyes. The It Ends With Us drama has gone nuclear. What began as an on-set dispute between Blake Lively and co-star and director Justin Baldoni has exploded into a no-holds-barred feud that's pulling in everyone from Ryan Reynolds to a crisis PR guru, and now both sides are practically sprinting to the courthouse with dueling motions. In the most recent move, Blake and Ryan demanded a gag order to silence Justin's attorneys, accusing them of releasing footage that smears Blake with misleading edits, but Justin's team, led by Laura Bryan Friedman, hit back just as hard, labeling Blake as petrified of the truth and calling the request an intimidation tactic to keep damning facts under wraps.
Have them see the truth and determine the truth for themselves.
If you haven't been following along, here's the gist. December 2024, Blake accused Justin of mistreatment on the It Ends With Us set. She contends he made unwanted physical contact during what was supposed to be a simple dance scene, rubbing his face along her neck and improvised intimacy that she neither approved or expected. Justin fired back with a monstrous $400 million lawsuit naming Blake, Ryan, and her publicist, Leslie Stone, claiming they orchestrated a character assassination to bury him professionally. Both sides are now locked in a PR battle that's overshadowing the film's enormous box office success. The latest bombshell? Blake's lawyers marched into court demanding a protective order, basically a muzzle on Justin's team, who kept leaking behind-the-scenes material to keep the press. This request came right after DailyMail.com published 10 minutes of raw footage from the It Ends With Us shoot. I may not always love you. The clip showed the two co-stars dancing in a bar scene, smiling, chatting with seemingly no tension. Friedman insists it proves Blake's claims are bogus, but Blake's team sees it differently, saying the video reveals the real problem. Justin leaning in uninvited, flicking her lip, talking out of character in a way that allegedly made her uneasy. She wasn't playing a part. They argue she was genuinely uncomfortable, pulling away, and repeatedly suggesting they talk instead of continuing physical contact. Justin's crew says Blake's new push for a gag order only confirms their suspicion that she's scared of the truth. Friedman's statement to DailyMail.com drips with scorn, painting her as a Hollywood titan used to wielding immense power thanks to Ryan's clout and all their high-powered friends. She couldn't accept that the public saw through her facade, Friedman declared, adding that Blake launched a false and well-calculated hit piece in the New York Times to ruin Justin once and for all. Friedman further calls the entire fiasco mean-spirited, accusing her of having no regard for the domestic violence community by turning such serious allegations into a personal vendetta. So Blake's lawyers retort that Friedman and Justin are the ones waging a retaliatory media campaign trying to spin partial evidence to shape public perception. They claim the 10-minute behind-the-scenes footage is edited, or at least intentionally packaged to mislead people. In their opinion, it is yet another example of Justin's selective leaks to smear a woman who dared to call him out. They maintain her lawsuit is packed with concrete evidence, including specific text messages and testimonies from others on set. She also insists Sony asked her, not Justin, to oversee the final cut of the film, meaning she had a legitimate role in shaping the storyline, contrary to Justin's suggestion that she seized control. That's some tea. Meanwhile, Friedman says it's all a spin. He insists the reason people keep seeing behind-the-scenes video is because Blake's camp started with a hit piece, and his client has every right to defend himself. Friedman claims to have mountains of evidence, real text messages, longer video recordings, direct emails, stuff that, according to him, will prove Justin never crossed a line. Friedman even points to a meltdown at the film's August premiere where Justin says security escorted him and his family to the basement at Blake's request to keep him off the red carpet. Blake's attorney calls that scenario fiction, adding that no one forcibly locked him away from the cast. Yet Friedman says the truth is documented. He has security logs, text messages, and statements from eyewitnesses. This epic meltdown might be overshadowed by another swirl. The same day Blake's 80-page lawsuit dropped, the New York Times published an article describing the so-called Hollywood smear machine, heavily implying Justin was the ringmaster. He denies orchestrating any defamation efforts. In fact, Justin's legal strategy now includes suing the New York Times for defamation, saying they cherry-picked and twisted communications to demonize him. Friedman told DailyMail.com, "It's unbelievably ironic that Blake is petrified of further revelations, given that her side allegedly triggered the entire avalanche of coverage in the first place." By Friedman's account, if Blake's version was so solid, she wouldn't need a gag order to block unfiltered evidence. As usual in these high-profile disputes, the personal stakes are enormous. Blake's attorney argued that Justin's approach aims to scare potential witnesses from supporting her claims. Friedman calls that nonsense, stating they only want an open, transparent process. Observers in Hollywood are stunned by how quickly the conflict escalated from on-set tensions to lawsuits worth hundreds of millions. Many wonder if this trial, if it reaches the stage, could overshadow even the Heard versus Depp fiasco, especially with big names like Ryan Reynolds and a crisis PR manager rumored to be playing behind-the-scenes roles. Tangled up in all this is the film's success. It Ends With Us was a smash at the box office, enough to be the biggest project in Blake's filmography. But its afterglow is super tarnished by the daily mudslinging. Some fans complain that they can't separate the drama from the movie, while others devour every leaked text or video snippet. A film that was supposed to stand out for its emotional storyline has, ironically, become a footnote in a legal circus. Meanwhile, critics who dislike the film now have even more ammo, saying that real-life chaos mirrors the on-screen tension. Gossip watchers note that if Blake truly was trying to sabotage Justin, assuming Friedman's insinuations have merit, it's backfiring big time, turning into a toxic soap opera. And let's not forget the ripple effect on their careers. Justin had been carving out a niche as a thoughtful director-producer, especially after Jane the Virgin, while Blake was forging a post-Gossip Girl identity as a strong lead actress. Both were rising in the industry and each had large fan bases. Now studios could worry about hiring them for future projects, given how easily creative disagreements turned into savage lawsuits. Friedman suggests that Blake's Hollywood intimidation tactics might be done for, but if Justin's name stays linked to allegations, that's hardly good news for him either. Ryan Reynolds, roped in by Justin's countersuit, might also face unwelcome questions about whether he used his star power to meddle behind the scenes. The ramifications could linger for years, no matter how the judge eventually rules. Within last week, more letters to the judge have popped up. Blake's team hammered away at Friedman, claiming he's fanning sensational headlines by dropping partial videos or sensational statements like calling her petrified of the truth. Friedman responded that you can't muzzle a defendant from sharing evidence. He called the entire gag order request tactical gamemanship, insisting it's just a ploy so Blake can keep her curated narrative unchallenged. He further states that if the judge allows him to show all pure, unedited facts, Blake's accusation will collapse. As it stands, neither side appears ready to blink. Friedman is doubling down, telling anyone who will listen that they have more unseen content that'll exonerate Justin. Blake's crew wants the judge to stop Friedman from turning the process into public spectacle, only to be accused themselves of fueling the tabloids in the first place. Each day brings a new statement, leak, or scathing letter, and the celebrity press is eating it up. Ultimately, the question is whether Blake Lively is truly scared of the truth, as Friedman claims, or if she's simply trying to avoid a trial by public opinion. Friedman's biting remarks might just be tough talk, or they could reflect real confidence in Justin's innocence. Meanwhile, Blake says freedom stunts overshadow actual justice. The tangle has evolved into cat and mouse game of pointing fingers, she's lying, versus he's twisting evidence, versus they're all weaponizing the media. Fans are left sifting through contradictory footage, contradictory claims, and more contradictory commentary. By all appearances, we're nowhere near resolution. One thing seems certain: the day the judge decides whether to grant or deny that gag order might be the next big bombshell. If Friedman is allowed to just keep dropping footage and text messages at will, expect this drama to intensify fast. If the judge clamps down, Friedman will almost certainly cry foul, claiming Blake's star power led to a muzzle on Justin's defense. Either way, it's a tense standoff that shows no sign of deflating. So for now, we wait, wondering which side will blink first or whether the truth Friedman teases is as explosive as he promises.